Hello my creative friends and welcome to my brand new series, the Gelplate ABC. This is your fun, no-nonsense guide to the wonderfully messy world of gel printing. Each letter of the alphabet gets its own little experiment. Some are essential basics, others are delightfully weird and super niche. Let's be real, this isn't some complete tutorial. I'm not here to cover everything, just the things I love. The odd gems I've discovered so far. So, whether you're new to gel printing or looking for fresh inspiration, grab your brayer and let's make some magic happen. Oh, you have no brayer? No problem. As you could already roll out of the title, today everything revolves around Brayer DIY. And believe you me, it wouldn't have crossed my mind in a million years to ever tackle this topic. So, this video wasn't even supposed to see light. And perhaps you're currently wondering why you are tuning into this video. At this point, I'd like to give a fat shout out to Pauline, who not only sponsored part of the materials used in the video, but also the idea. Pauline wrote me the following message. If you figure out how to make cheap but exceptionally good brayer, let me know. When I read that, I first had to chuckle to myself and thought, cheap and exceptionally good don't live in the same universe. If I were to try that, I'd only come to the following conclusion anyway. It doesn't worth the time and effort. Just get one from the store and that's it. Right? This utterly rational part of me was rock solid convinced that there was no way to make a usable brayer yourself. But, as you may have already noticed, I don't always have control of my brain and its thinking. This message planted such a strong seed, it conquered all my rationality. My brain was hooked and sent me the following days all kind of ideas I should try. Please trust me. I did try to resist. I did try to not listen. I tried to look away. But my brain loves a good creative challenge. And this other part of me showed up and told me that we will have so much fun. So I was eventually hooked, you know. Fun is that magic word. That trigger, the kryptonite that brings the other part of me to its knees. So one experiment led to another. And to another and another, and well, let's just say I might have gone a little overboard, in the best possible way, of course. And this is a story behind this video. And if you belong to the team why buy when I can DIY, then this video is for you. And please, please don't take it too seriously. Watch the video with a wink and a smile, and maybe it will give you one or two inspirations. So get ready, fellow creative souls, because today I'm unleashing 14 surprisingly effective and some not so effective DIY brayer alternatives that you probably want to try. Get ready to get a little bit unconventional and maybe even amazed. Now, meet our first Gelplate Avenger in today's brayer DIY mission. Don't let the soft exterior fool you. This DIY brayer is here to mold some serious art. The mission, should you choose to accept it, was to create a smooth rolling surface using the ever-versatile foam clay. The initial intel suggested a straightforward application onto a PVC pipe, ready for deployment onto whatever my mind comes up later, because at this time I didn't know yet the next step. Deployment wasn't exactly a walk in the park though. But the clay operator encountered an unexpected enemy, a crack. Quick thinking and a second layer of clay neutralized the threat. However, our operative proved to be a bit clingy. Extraction from the PVC pipe was a mission impossible. Time for plan B. Shorten the pipe and mount it directly onto a foam roller core. Only problem? Size mismatch. So, I MacGyvered a smaller PVC pipe inside as an adapter, followed by the strategic deployment of 3 layers of trusty duct tape and a final clock-in with double-sided adhesive. Voila! Undercover Brayer locked and loaded. Let's see if all this crafting pays off, shall we? But first, a control subject is required for comparison. You know, for science. I spent quite some time thinking about how to design the comparison mission and was undecided for a few days. In terms of objectivity, video length and entertainment value, I decided on a very simple test. I did 2 basic test prints, one with a more fluid paint and one with a medium heavy body paint, side by side with my regular Brayer. Just so you know, I've skipped the boring bits like paper placement and drying. We are all here for the juicy print moments, right? However, the crucial paint application sequence remains unedited for maximum transparency. And I'll say it right away, I did not manage to apply the same amount of paint every time. I'm really not that good at it. I also believe that the true potential of the Brayer alternatives shown here will only become apparent during a longer printing session. For now, we are keeping it short and sweet and comparing Agent Clay Operator's performance side by side with the reference. First impressions? Not bad at all. The clay operator might not have the precision of a store-bought gadget when it comes to ink deployment, but the paint spreads quite smoothly. But even after all the meticulous smoothing, the clay layer has some inconsistencies in thickness, leading to a bit of a wobbly roll. Guess that's why he's the clay operator, not the smooth operator. Also, the clay operator seems to have a bit of a paint retention issue, which might mess with your colors if you're not careful. Okay, let's hand out some hero badges. This will be done in the categories manufacturing, paint application, cleaning, and costs. The basic idea was simple enough, but getting it done right required patience and a whole lot of clay whispering. It definitely showed some promises in spreading the paint, but it could use a bit more precision training for optimal results. Water is Agent Clay Operator's ultimate weakness. It dissolved on contact, which unfortunately compromised the entire mission in terms of cleanup. As a budget-friendly operative, clocking in at just under €1, it definitely gets top marks for affordability. In total, the clay operator doesn't score too badly, with solid 3.5 out of 5 hero badges. The extensive preparation and the water vulnerability make him a less than ideal choice for prolonged missions. Still, not the worst undercover agent I've recruited. If you are desperate and feeling crafty, the clay operator can get the job done. Maybe once or twice, but long term? I don't know yet, but I'm willing to find out. In the following 3 chapters, we are tackling not 1, not 2, but 3 DIY Brayer alternatives that share the same philosophy as the clay operator. As they all have the same foundational build, there is no need to rehash that rolling saga. Now, it's all about what we sleeve these bad boys in. First up, for the Tubinator, I simply pulled a PVC tube over the PVC pipe and mounted this combo to the foam core as shown earlier. From the moment I picked it up, the Tubinator just felt right. It's like it was born to roll. The paint spreads really nicely and honestly, it feels pretty darn close to a classic store-bought Brayer. It's got that familiar roll to it, you know? The only minor hiccup is that it didn't fully clean off on the scrap paper, so the next print might pick up a bit of leftover color. But hey, the good news is that this little tube of joy cleans up like a dream with just water after a printing session. No fuss, no muss. And when it comes to the price tag? Well, at around 90 cents for the materials, it's a total steal. All in all, the Tubinator is a seriously solid contender. Next in our tubular lineup. Now, if I'm being completely honest with you, I had really high hopes for this one. The idea of using a bicycle in a tube as a roller surface? In my head, that sounded like it would come closest to the real deal. The kind of grip you get with a commercial Brayer. Boy, was my inner scientist slightly off on this one. While the paint did apply reasonably well, it was still a little easier with the Tubinator. And the potential for color contamination definitely kicked up a notch with the Rubber. It seemed to hold onto the paint just a little more. And while it clocks in at the same budget-friendly price as the Tubinator, and cleaning is just as simple, wrestling that bicycle in a tube onto the PVC pipe, let's just say it was a bit of a tiring process. Not exactly a smooth ride in the DIY department. Overall, the Rubber Rebel gets a 3 out of 5 hero badges. This one was a genuine "wait, what?" moment for me. I just stumbled upon this pipe insulation in the hardware store and honestly didn't expect much. The surface is definitely more on the rough and tumble side than smooth and sleek. And yeah, the paint application, it's texture for sure. Not your go-to for a super smooth, even layer. But, and it's a big but, I actually had quite fun with this one. If you are into that kind of textured print, then I'd totally give the Insulator a go. Who knew pipe insulation could be so creatively cool? What surprised me even more was the color transfer. I honestly expected a much bigger mess when switching from blue to yellow, especially with that slightly coarse surface. But it stayed surprisingly contained. This little insulator is a bit of an underdog, a silent sleeper hit. I'm definitely planning a longer print session with this one to see what other tricks it has up its its insulated sleeve. And cleaning, super easy with just water. Bonus points for simplicity. And the price? We barely need to mention it. At around 70 cents, this Brayer alternative is currently the cheapest of the cheap. Can't argue with that. All in all, the Insulator also scores a fantastic 4 out of 5 hero badges. Not too shabby for a hardware store find, huh? And speaking of unexpected allies from the most unassuming origins, like Aisle 7, where he once advised on the silent language of wallpaper, we now have Agent Paint Whisperer. They say he used to listen to the walls, but now he hears the silent call of the paint on the gel plate. A true renegade with a knack for smooth transitions. This operative is one of my easiest and quickest recruits deployed straight from the hardware store. The Paint Whisperer comes in 2 discrete sizes, 4.5 centimeters for those intricate color conversations or a more commanding 15 centimeters for broader chromatic dialogues. I gotta say, this agent rolled into his new role with surprising ease. He has a near telepathic connection with the paint, spreading it smoothly and evenly, a true master of color persuasion. And cleanup? He simply whispers the excess paint onto a spare sheet, leaving no trace. Now, during this particular color consultation, there was a slight miscommunication, resulting in a bit more color cross-contamination than foreseen. I simply didn't use enough of the yellow paint, so that's on me, not on the Paint Whisperer. Previous color dialogues have shown Agent Paint Whisperer to possess remarkable clarity in his transitions. I will be engaging the Paint Whisperer in more extensive color sessions to fully unlock his potential. I have a feeling his ability to read the paint is far greater than I've yet witnessed. He is like Professor X of even color distribution. The Paint Whisperer came with a €5.49 price tag, a small price to pay for such a nuanced color control. But compared to my real Brayer, which only sets me back €8, it doesn't exactly scream massive savings. Still, every penny counts, right? Despite a minor communication breakdown, Agent Paint Whisperer has proven to be a surprisingly effective and uniquely skilled operative in the world of gelplate printing. He's definitely a valuable asset to the team. Let's go to the first anti-hero of this heroic team. Agent Peeler has a license to roll, and I had a blast tinkering with him. He squeezed his way into this test after all the other candidates were already lined up. Talk about a last-minute mission. The inspiration struck while peeling veggies. The basic structure of a vegetable peeler is actually quite similar to a Brayer, just in a mini format. So I immediately raced to the dollar store and looked for the cheapest peeler, and voila, found one right away. For 75 cents I had the frame and a candle I already had at home, plus a wooden skewer from the kitchen drawer, ultimately became Agent Peeler, resourcefulness level expert. Even though Agent Peeler has a license to roll, spreading the paint on the gel plate wasn't exactly a smooth operation. I also had to manually clean the roller with a baby wipe in between, as rolling it off didn't really work. Seems like his license might need a little revoking in the paint spreading department. I think it would be more than fair to send Agent Peeler on a different mission. As a Brayer alternative, he doesn't really cut it. But who knows, maybe he'll still find his true calling in my studio. We shall see. For his brave effort, Agent Peeler gets a very well-meaning 3 out of 5 hero badges. He tried his best, and that's what counts, right? Alright, hold on to your hats, folks, because we are about to enter the Hall of Slightly Melted Fame. In this chapter, we are gathering most of the fails from this Brayer experiment. So get comfy, we are about to hit the climax of this beautiful disaster. But let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start, even if it went downhill from here. Another one of my brilliant ideas was to use hot glue as a roller. Hot glue sticks are too thin to use as is, but since hot glue transforms with heat, I figured I'd just create a mold and let it flow into shape. What could possibly go wrong? Well, this is where a used up glue stick came into play. I've always found such empty cartridges too good to throw away, which is why I have a few lying around. I took the cartridge apart as much as necessary, so that only the smooth cylinder remained. On YouTube, I had seen that you can easily make molds of objects with silicone sealant. Well, getting to that point was a journey in itself. First, I tried the cornstarch method. Epic fail, I tell you. It was a sticky mess and I didn't even get to the point of trying a mold. Then I tried the method with lots of dish soap in water, and that worked like a charm. Finally a breakthrough. My first mold wasn't usable, but the second one did the trick. Persistence is key, even in the face of hot glue-related adversity. Here again, the core of a foam roller came into play. This time I recycled an old one. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? And what can I say? From then on, everything just went south. The hot glue formed bubbles and didn't melt quickly enough. The roller core ended up sitting crooked in the mold and Captain Meltdown oozed into existence. Not exactly the hero I envisioned. Similar to Agent Peeler, I didn't get a smooth surface, and with Captain Meltdown, the crooked core made things even worse, leading to a rather wobbly rolling experience. I don't even want to go into detail. Honestly, the less said about this, the better. Let's just chalk this one up as a learning experience. A very hot and sticky, lopsided learning experience. And I can't say much about the cost as I used up the stuff lying around. But honestly, the mental cost was way too high. I'm generously handing out 1 out of 5 hero badges here, probably just for the guts it took to try this in the first place. After the dish soap silicone magic, I thought, let's try a different mix. This time I applied the silicone directly onto an old discarded foam roller. The $1,000,000 question: could this squishy, almost huggable guy become the Baymax of paint rollers? A gentle giant who spreads color like a boss without breaking a sweat? Spoiler alert, the answer was ready to roll. The manufacturing process was, well, let's just say it required the patience of a superhero squeezing into a way too tight costume. I spent about 20 minutes bribing that silicone into a somewhat even, gentle surface. And guess what? This Hulk in slippers actually surprised me. At first, his unusual softness was a bit unsettling, but this cuddly Avenger of even color distribution did a pretty decent job. Super smooth color edges aren't exactly his superpower, but this cuddle effect has its own charm. Sometimes it's the unexpected gentleness that gets the job done. Cleaning? As easy as Baymax deactivation mode. Just roll it off and done. And water? No problem for this soft hero. All in all, Captain Cuddles deserves a loving 4 badges. He's the underdog you didn't know you needed. Proof that sometimes softness wins the day, and maybe even your heart. Don't underestimate the power of a good cuddle. After my silicon reserves were depleted in the name of science, a rogue idea rolled into headquarters. What if the empty cartridge still had one last mission in it? Not to seal, but to roll. And just like that, as if by divine DIY intervention, it clicked perfectly onto a basic lint roller. The sleeve sergeant may not win any design awards, and rolling it across the gel plate feels a bit unconventional. But hey, if it rolls, it deserves a mission, right? So I trimmed the cartridge to size, sleeved it on, and just like that, the sleeve sergeant was born. Expectations were low, morale was moderate, but the result? Surprisingly decent. Paint spread across the gel plate with a gritty, streetwise charm. No nonsense, no frills, no finesse. The edge left some bite marks, more urban rebel than smooth operator. But hey, every team needs a wild card. Roll off? Nope. Wet wipe? Boom. Problem solved in under 5 seconds. For a last-minute, zero-budget Brayer, this one held his own in the field. The upcycling squad welcomes this scrappy underdog with open arms. 3 badges for this unconventional but effective agent. Just when I thought the lint roller had peaked, a second revelation struck. What if we skip the cartridge entirely and sewed this hero up in craft foam? The lint roller's built-in adhesive makes it the James Bond of fast stick-on tech. Foam sheet, pressure, trim, boom! Velvet Vanguard assembled and mission ready in under 5 minutes. And again, wielding this sideways tool feels like driving the Batmobile with handlebars. Awkward at first, but once you get into the groove, it's a smoothish sailing. The paint goes on nicely with a texture that's more poetic drizzle than precision stripe. It's like Agent Insulator's gentler cousin. Cleanup? Surprisingly okay, just roll it off like you're redacting a classified document. But don't soak him, okay? His skeleton's not made of adamantium, more like emotionally fragile cardboard. So be gentle, operator. The sleeve sergeant and the velvet Vanguard prove that the unexpected sometimes carry the mission home. One's a tough enforcer with rough edges. The other's a soft-spoken charmer with hidden skills. Together, they roll with heart. Even though the velvet Vanguard is far from perfect, I still think it's absolutely suitable for a quick gel plate adventure. He struggles a little bit with paint contamination, and yet I don't want to be too harsh on him. Agent Velvet Vanguard deserves 4 out of 5 hero badges. He is an elegant recruit for the DIY elite. Alright, from super soft to seriously solid, the next gelplate Avenger joined the squad straight from the dollar store shelves. He went by Pastry Roller back there, but around here we call him the Kitchen Knight. Gotta be honest, I walked past him at first. That full wooden build kinda gave me the ick. Wood and water, not exactly a dream team. I was worried about how long he'd last in the messy world of paint and prints. But a few days later, I caved. He was still sitting there, looking stoic and slightly judgmental. For €2, I figured, why not? First impression, he squeaks like a real Brayer. From the depth of his little wooden soul. Paint application, pretty decent. The roll-off works okay too, though not exactly flawless. I still had to call in the wet wipes, just like with some of the other contenders. What I do like, this dude's got weight, sits well in the hand, feels like a proper tool, not a toy. Would I knight him again? Maybe. But I'd keep an eye on his woodsy mood swings. All in all, despite his initial wooden skepticism and his slightly vocal nature, the Kitchen Knight proves to be a surprisingly capable contender in our gelplate Avengers squad. He brings grounded stability to the team, and for that price, a worthy ally in our colorful quest. Let's just hope he doesn't splinter under pressure. Time to roll into a sticky situation. Now we are diving headfirst into the clingy chaos of the Sticky Avenger. Now, things are about to get seriously attached around here. This time we are revisiting an old friend, the lint roller. But not just any lint roller. The slightly more glamorous version. I stumbled upon this modern marvel during a family visit and I just knew, I had to recruit him for the Avengers squad. I snagged 2 models from different stores, and at €2 and €2.50, I thought, what a steal. I gotta admit, I like the somewhat sturdy build and the fact that you can wield this Avenger like a proper Brayer. And, well, that's almost where the compliments end. Little did I know that the outer layer would be this intensely adhesive. Seriously, I wouldn't have dreamed it in a million sticky nightmares. The paint application, surprisingly fantastic. It goes on more or less just like your classic Brayer. But, and this is a big, sticky but, the roll-off cleaning is a total disaster. The moment the paint's transferred, this thing clings to your scrap paper like it's found its soulmate. Releasing it takes pickle jar strength and about 3 creative meltdowns. This, as you can imagine, puts a slight damper on the creative flow. What's even more charming is the super tight gap between the handle and roller that causes paint to splash back onto the brayer and then onto your gel plate. Clean prints? Forget about it. And that's despite the fact that the paint application itself is surprisingly brilliant. I'm truly torn. Part of me loves this sticky little devil for its fantastic paint spread. But the other part wants to lock it in a cupboard and throw away the key because of its incredible, clingy personality. How do you even rate a relationship this complicated? I even tried the genius move of not cleaning this Sticky Avenger after paint application, hoping the acrylic would dry and neutralize the stickiness. Nope, didn't work. However, a quick rinse under the tap and it's as good as new. Looks like I'll need some serious one-on-one time with this particular Avenger to see if I can coax it into a less emotionally attached existence. Wish me luck. So in total, he gets 4 out of 5 hero badges for potential and sheer audacity, minus a point for the clinginess that almost drove me to therapy. Alright, we've had squeakers, clinges and chaotic rollers, but now brace yourselves. It's time to meet a true legend, a real smooth operator. Yes, I know. I've said that phrase a lot in this series, and mostly when something wasn't one. But this time, we might actually have found the real deal. Enter the unassuming rolling pin. Just hanging out on a discount shelf. Plastic core, silicone sleeve, 2 side handles. At first, I had doubts, and those side handles, not exactly ideal for precision moves on the gel plate battlefield. But then the stars aligned. Remember the tool I used to flatten foam clay for the clay operator? That was no random prop. It was the battle-worn core of an old rolling pin long separated from its handles. And guess what? That sleeve turned out to be the perfect fit for the core of the other sticky lint roller I bought. No sawing, no gluing, no DIY drama. Just one cut, and I had a seamless fusion of 2 unlikely heroes. And folks, the moment that roller touched paint, it was like silk. No dragging, no blotching, no tantrums. Paint spread like a dream. Roll off, clean and crisp. Even the usual splash zone near the handle stayed miraculous spotless. This might just be the ultimate hybrid. Sleek, smooth, and unexpectedly mighty. Honestly, if I had to pick a winner, this might be it. Top 3 for sure. Possible number 1. But let's be real, only a long-term printing session will reveal its true legacy. Stay tuned for the sequel. So in total, he gets 4.5 out of 5 hero badges. Oh, and before we wrap things up, I have to at least mention 2 more wildcard recruits that made a brief appearance during testing. The Unrollable, aka your average window squeegee, and its shower cousin. Both looked kind of promising, both felt oddly powerful in hand, but as the name suggests, they weren't born to roll. Still, they get honorable mentions for style and dramatic presence. Because, let's face it, a squeegee on a gel plate has a certain chaotic charm. You'll catch a glimpse of their short-lived glory in the footage. And that, my dear print nerds, wraps up my Brayer DIY mission. 14 unconventional tools, some heroes, some heartbreaks, and a whole lot of unexpected joy. What a great start for the gelplate ABC. But let's end with the ultimate question. Was I able to find a Brayer alternative that's not only cheap but ridiculously effective? I don't know. I'll let you decide. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you are curious how the infamously clingy Sticky Avenger performs in a full printing session, stay tuned. I filmed a whole round using nothing but that little troublemaker, and it's coming up very soon. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for being curious, and thanks for not judging me for talking to my Brayers like they're people. Subscribe if you want more arty experiments with heart and humor. And until next time, stay curious and keep rolling.